The next generation of great talk radio, the undisputed leader of the new school, Andrew Wilkow, on loan to you tonight from Sirius Satellite Radio, filling in for the great one, Mark Levin. Phone lines, as always, 877-381-3811. You can get a hold of me on MySpace or Facebook. Just spell my name right, Wilkow. Individual patriot first, conservative second, Republican third. The UAW apparently is retaining a $33 million members-only lakeside retreat with a $6 million designer golf course. Now, if the CEOs of the big three have to dump their private jets, the UAW should at least have to dump their summer camp. 877-381-3811. I got to start with this. I have some audio from about a year and a half
this
ago.
This weekend, the nation
of Nancy Pelosi talking about the pain American families and businesses were feeling at the pump when gas peaked at about $3 a gallon. Now, gas, what's the national average right now? About $1.67? I think where I actually live, I haven't filled up in a couple of days. I think it's $1. I think I paid $1.47 a couple of days ago for a plain old regular gasoline. I drive a Jeep Wrangler. That thing can run on anything. But gas is down. And there's a fear now in the environmental movement that you people are going to go back to your greedy ways and drive SUVs. That you're going to say, hey, wait a second. I don't need to drive a Mini Cooper or that little sissy Prius. I'm going to go back out and get that Escalade. Maybe I'll get it with the hybrid to make my idiot hippie liberal cousin happy. But I'm not going to drive the little sissy Prius. I'm not going to drive a Mini Cooper. I'm going to go out and get the SUV. It's easy for me. It's easy for my family. It's easy to get the kids from point A to point B. It's easy to get groceries home. I like it. It drives nice. It's comfortable. And in the snow, it's pretty good. Or in the rain, it's pretty good. So here's the lead editorial from the New York Times. Headline, the gas tax. President-elect Barack Obama and the Democrats in Congress seem to have a clear vision of the auto industry. Well, a bunch of left-wing lawyers are now car people. It must be financially self-sufficient. It also must be capable of producing highly fuel-efficient next-generation vehicles that can help the nation cope with climate change and finite supplies of oil, which wouldn't be a problem if they let us drill. Yet for all the conditions attached to it, the multi-billion-dollar aid package for Detroit's car makers approved by the White House with Mr. Obama's support fails to address one crucial question. Who will buy all the fuel-efficient cars that Detroit car makers are supposed to make? The danger is that too few will, especially if gas prices remain low. Therefore, it might be time for the president-elect and Congress to think seriously about imposing a gas tax or similar levy to keep gas prices up after the economy recovers from recession. Americans did not buy enormous gas guzzlers just because Detroit marketed them relentlessly. They bought them because they wanted big cars and because gas was cheap. If gas stays cheap, Americans would be less inclined to squeeze their families into fuel-efficient alternatives. The piece goes on to say that what the government should do under Obama is to have a floor tax. In other words, gas would never drop below $4 to $5 a gallon, as they put it in the piece. So no matter what the market price was, no matter what happens with the laws of supply and demand, if gas drops to $1.50, they'll add a $2.50 tax surcharge levy, whatever you want to call it, to always keep gasoline artificially inflated to force you to drive the cars that they want you to drive. Now, I want you to hear Nancy Pelosi, your Speaker of the House. Before you play it, remember, in the 90s, all we heard from the Democrats and the liberals was we weren't paying enough for a gallon of gas. They were envious of the gas taxes in the European states. Then gas prices went up, and all of a sudden, all the Democrats felt your pain. Listen to Nancy Pelosi very carefully.
This weekend, the nationwide average of $3.07 per gallon set a record, exceeding last August's previous record. And I'm particularly concerned because the highest price, $3.49 per gallon, is what is being charged in my district in San Francisco. With Memorial Day travel and the start of summer driving, Only a few weeks away, drivers are paying a heavy price for the Bush administration's failure to enact a comprehensive energy strategy. Years of Bush administration's policies that have favored big oil over the consumers have resulted in record dependence on foreign oil, leaving American families and businesses to pay even higher prices.
Nancy Pelosi must be the gas dominatrix. Because if gas hurts at $3, what's it going to feel like at $4 or even $5? And even worse, if the government is the institution or the entity purposefully and willingly driving up the price of a gallon of gas for what? Not supply. See, this is so funny. Remember how much animosity they had towards the oil executives? They were dragging them into hearings. Why are you so profitable? Why are you making so much money? People are feeling pain out there. This hurts. Maxine Waters said, you know what we should do? We should, socialize. Step in and take over. You mean nationalize, Congresswoman? Whatever. That's what they wanted. They were threatening to nationalize, even though they would never do that because when gas prices go up or down, people would be angry at the government, not just the oil companies. But the oil companies were the big bad wolf. They were the ones you were supposed to. It's their fault. These rich oil executives, you should hate them. Your pain is because of them. Well, I think a lot of people knew that gas prices would fluctuate. They would be affected by gravity. What goes up must come down. If we started drilling offshore and extracting in the shale oil, that would send well, Andrew, if we do that, they're going to sell it in the global market. So what? So what? The price of a gallon of gas is a global price based on global supply and demand and our access to it. If the global supply goes up, the global price comes down. And if we signal to the OPEC nations, Venezuela, the Chinese, the Russians, and the Canadians that, hey, you know what? Time has come. We're going to start drilling. We're going to start extracting. We're going to get that shale oil. We're going to beat the Chinese to the stuff off the coast of Florida before they can get it off the coast of Cuba. We're going to get it. The global price would come down. The speculators would be changing their tune. But what the New York Times wants, what many liberal Democrats want, is to have the government purposefully make it more painful for you and your family. That's what they want. So you'll drive the cars they want you to drive because the Democrats in Congress are all of a sudden clear on how the auto industry should operate. Well, maybe they should put Ron Gettelfinger in charge of one of the big three. Maybe we should have CEO Gettelfinger. Forget this UAW crap. Let's put him in charge of General Motors. I mean, he's an expert. Let Barack Obama pick his cars. Who's that going to be? Someone sensible like Mitt Romney? No. There'll be some left-wing hippie fruitcake. I mean, what's now? Hey, you know what it would be? Why don't we just get it over with already? Why don't we introduce a plan as part of this bailout? This would be a good idea. You liberals will love this one. You Democrats will. This is an idea for you guys. Why don't we introduce a provision that what the auto manufacturers must do is allow for GPS tracking devices to be installed in your vehicle so the government can track just how much gas you're using, and then they could send you a bill for the carbon offset. That would be fair. Nobody would be able to lie. The government would be able to manage it. And if you don't drive too much, they might issue you a carbon credit. You drive too much, they send you a bill. You Democrats should get behind that one. It makes perfect sense. You'll love it. 877-381-3811.